Hey guys, just a quick warning. We have a little bit of a technical issue towards the last 20 minutes of the episode. As you're aware, we're pretty new to this, so I'd expect some technical issues to happen. Just keep your eye out for it and enjoy the episode. Cheers. Bye.
Scenes, man.
Scenes,
man. Hi, Graham.
Hi, you.
Hello, Graham. How you doing?
Good man, how are you?
Nice to talk to you. I'm good. It's a lovely 5,000 degrees in Scotland.
Yes, it's taps off weather.
It's taps half weather, except not for me because I'm a big fat guy. So, well, you know, I mean, you can take a tap off if you want. You know, I'm all about body positivity, but me, I'm not positive about my body.
My personal body.
So we'll wait and see. I got
My
the shorts on
sack.
though. Shorts are on, which is just not my character.
No,
Not quite my tempo.
not quite my tempo.
And yeah, we're here for another episode.
We
We're
are
back
indeed.
recording.
Yes.
We've got seats now. We're not just sitting on the floor.
Yes.
We've got the artwork. We're doing good. You know, when this comes
Easy.
out, obviously everything will be ready. But I like to
Yeah.
let it be known that
Yeah.
you know the DIY of it all.
Exactly. Behind the scenes.
It's nice to be working on something behind the scenes.
ETS.
Behind the scenes.
Yes. This
Oh
scenes.
my God, that's incredible.
Oh.
I love that.
You're now in a production meeting. You've just heard that.
You're in a production meeting. That is trademarked. It's trademarks claimed. And today, I think, you know, we're going to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
and
we are.
associated ideas.
We're going to cover a bit of that, yeah.
We had a couple of ideas for today, but something actually did happen today. Unfortunately, it
Yes.
prompted us to talk about Spider-Man.
Yes.
Graham, you're the bigger Spider-Man guy, so
I would say so, yeah.
yeah.
So, unfortunately, we got the news this morning that John Romita Sr., classic Spider-Man artist, had passed away at age of 93, who of course leaves a fantastic legacy, not just in comics, but particularly on Spider-Man the character.
Yeah, I mean, I Graham's much more of a comics guy than me, and even if I get into it, probably always will be you.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I know Romita as well.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Romita.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a poster. Graham got me this. I have a poster in my kitchen of the Madness and Mysterio. That was a Romita cover.
Yep.
You know, Spider-Man No More.
course.
Someone pointed out on Twitter today, like, Tracy Tiger, you hit the jackpot.
Yep, Death of Gwen Stacy.
Romita, I mean, he defined it in a lot of ways. Obviously, you can talk about the writers and that. I always think an artist and a writer are literally 50-50. Do you know what I mean? They're equally as valuable as each other.
Of course. Especially in a medium like comic books.
And for Romita to do as well as he does on the things that he did,
Yeah.
you know, it's a crying shame.
Of course.
But you do, you know, 93 years old,
What a
long,
life.
prolific career.
Yeah.
His son, obviously, still with us and working in the industry as well.
Leaves a terrific legacy.
So yeah, I thought, you know, today we'll talk about Spider-Man because, you know, we want to respect that. We do.
It seems poignant, yeah.
A lot of love to the Romita's family, everyone sort of around it. You know, we're all very
course,
much.
yeah.
We're shaking, but we're also, you know, I like to think of it in such a positive light. He did so well. He did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk about the movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse first.
Across the Spider-Verse, yeah.
This was obviously the 2023 sequel to the 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I think so.
2018, 2019.
Sounds right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
You know, it was a few years ago now. About, obviously, we've still got the continuing adventures of Miles Morales
Yes.
and the associated Spider People. Beautiful animated film.
Of course.
Obviously, Into the Spider-Verse was very prolific. It made a lot of waves when it dropped because
Yep.
it told a very sort of new, fresh story in the Spider-Man cinematic sphere.
Yeah. The first Miles.
Yeah, well, Miles and sort of what they were trying to say with it, you know. Not like Miles himself was new at the time, although I saw this the other day. Miles is a lot newer than we really think he is.
Yeah.
2011
Yeah.
was Miles' first appearance. And of course in the medium, you know, being a Sony Pictures animated film and really
In a bold, brave new style.
a bold, brave new style. And you know, if we take out the recognised character from it, what it's just done for the style of animation as a
Yeah,
medium
exactly.
is it's insane.
You almost don't see a movie now that's animated and have some flair from it.
Exactly, you know, Puss in Boots 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem on its way.
Yep.
And I wouldn't even say in a bad way. It's not like derivative.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, they've shown what stylization can do, and it's as long as a film understands the style that they're going for, it won't just be derivative. It'll just be like, we've got the Spider-Verse flair, but you know, Puss in Boots had a very painterly fairy tale feel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really looks like it's going for sort of like a
hard edge.
hard edge, like sort of
like sharp cuts,
When I
lines.
think of Mutant Mayhem, I think of the shot Bebop and Rocksteady. They've got these big shaped faces,
Yeah.
movements.
They
that-
feel more 3D.
Yeah, it's very. I kept going to say like grindhouse. It's not grindhouse, but it is like it's a lot more grungy. I know
Yeah.
that's a weird word.
Grungy seems right, yeah.
Grungy seems like the right type of word, but not in like a negative way.
Like
or
Nirvana
like
could play in the movie and I wouldn't seem out of place. I was like,
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, Graham, Graham.
Yes, Ewan.
What do you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I loved it.
Oh, he loved it.
I did love it,
He
yes.
did love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was very good.
Very good.
It was a very, very good film.
A great sequel. Maybe hurt by the fact it's 2 parts.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to quickly knock out, is to talk about the 2 parts of it all. Everyone I know that's seen it,
Yep.
people we work with and that,
Yeah.
always says, oh, a 2-parter, what was that, cliffhanger?
Yeah. We knew always.
I knew.
Yeah.
I went into it knowing it would end on a cliffhanger. I went in.
Yeah.
It was originally announced.
Well, I didn't know it would end in a clip, but I assumed it's part 2.
Yeah.
Probably going to have
I
some
always
sort
assumed
of...
they just weren't going to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's going to have some sort of leave you hanging on this.
Because it was originally, it wasn't even Across and Beyond. It was originally Across Part 1 and Part 2.
Exactly, yeah.
So I actually don't think that badly of it. I think it's because it's based on the strength of what they did give us and the lead up to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the criticism, I've not heard this criticism, but maybe if it's leaving on a cliffhanger, would be that they didn't feel like they got a full arc for any character. But you definitely do.
You definitely do, yeah.
Especially, I mean, Miles obviously being the focus of the main character, does have a very clear arc in this film, I think.
Yeah. Miles, Gwen, the Spot, funny enough.
The Spot, yeah.
And even if it's...
His ends earlier, but yeah.
What I find interesting though is that like these are like almost like 2 little arcs and 1 bigger arc. So there's things that these characters go through which we'll probably talk a bit more about soon, but you could easily continue it in the next film. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like where Miles ends in this film, I could equally see development based on this film, but I'm happy with what I got in the first one. That's my major takeaway is, like, I don't mind the cliffhanger. I actually thought everything that they provided us in this one was so cool and interesting and worthwhile, and they gave us, enough arcs and movements, and then to end it and say, why we're going to keep going with the next one. And yeah, I mean, I've always been a bit weirded out on films that are exclusively 2 parts, but a lot of the time it was always films that were like adaptations and stuff that weren't originally supposed to be, like Hobbit being 3 movies when it could have been like 1, Deathly Hallows, Hunger Games, and I've always been a bit weirded out by them, but this one was more like we're deliberately going out of our way to tell a story, construct a story like this, and that was to its benefit because even though it was a part 1, it felt complete in a lot of ways. So you had enough satisfaction in this movie, but then you were given the stuff to be like, but we're going to come back for the next movie though, because we're going to see where this ends. And they have obviously confirmed that this will actually be the last one. Yeah. So they clearly know where they're going.
Right.
Before we get into the second one, obviously we'll have the first one as well. Yeah. Into the Spider-Verse, obviously shifted up the dynamic. That great story, great characters, and yeah, I think with the benefit of hindsight, looking at this, it's fascinating to see how they work together as well. That's why I'm talking about the whole knowing it's an ending. I'm excited to see the full through line. Right. Okay. It's just really cool. It's really cool. I don't know. I want to admit right now at the top of the video. The video? The audio? What we do have a video, YouTube. Watch us on YouTube or stream us on Spotify, if that's where we're going. I think that's where we're going. I want to say now, I came out of the first film and I really, really liked it, but everyone on the internet told me it was literally the best film ever made, ever. And I got so annoyed about being told that I should literally worship it that I think I started to hurt my impression of it. I have like a couple of loose criticisms with the first one. My biggest issue is I never really gelled with the whole arc of all the spider people being like, hey, Miles, you need to be perfect right now, and oh no, you're not really great, so we're just going to get angry at you and leave, but we actually secretly hope you do well, and I don't know, I didn't really care. I thought it was a bit mishandled, but that was like a personal, I just wish it wasn't quite like that, not so much the movie's not good, just I would have preferred it different. Yeah. This movie, coming out of it, I actually feel like I am one of the people going out there telling you it's the best movie ever made. Right. I actually really, really love this movie. Yeah. Coming out of the cinema, you're sitting and mulling over and thinking about all the different parts of it. I really did think it was good for that, like in a lot of different ways, which, as I say, we'll sort of address on a beat by beat thing. Okay. Which we'll start with sort of the plot. Okay. Yeah. If you're alright going on to that bit. Yeah, sure. So we look at this in terms of like, first off, the major shift that we haven't really mentioned here is like this isn't just Miles now, it's Gwen. Well, yeah, it's quite obvious that Gwen's a focus of this film because we open on her. Yeah, we open on Gwen. Gwen's sort of where a lot of the address is put to, which was a really sort of fascinating framing device. Yeah. Especially in comparison to the whole comic book stuff for the first one. Like Gwen telling a story to people. She's continuing to tell a story. Yeah, pretty much, and that's why it's one of those things that makes you feel like it's literally her story now, as much as Miles. I'm not saying Miles is like pushed aside. Well, it's definitely. I think it's kind of obvious in the first one. It's more obvious here that it's a romance. Yes. Between the two. Yeah, that's sort of one of the big things that sort of comes up. Which I wasn't really ever sure about that direction. I know they sort of have a thing in the comics on occasion, and I didn't feel like they needed to make it romantic. but you know, it wasn't bad for being romantic, and I mean that in a loose sense. And I mean, in terms of actual movie, I actually thought they did it quite fascinatingly.
Right.
One of the big things about the plot that I was going to bring up, but it kind of leans in with this, is how this movie tackles canon and like the mythos of Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
In a very metatextual sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of the romance, as Gwen points out, you know, Gwen's fall in love with Spider-Man and die. You know, Death of Gwen Stacy, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Well, that's, she doesn't literally say that. Remember Amazing Spider-Man 2, Miles? That movie wasn't very good, Miles. Oh man, I might have broke his heart when I said that. Amazing Spider-Man defender in this room at this point.
Andrew Garfield defender.
We'll get there when we get there, to be fair. So that's why I thought the romance was really interesting, because of how tied in it was to all of that. As I say, I didn't personally feel like that needed it, but what this sequel actually did in a lot of ways was smart about just doing everything in a sensible way that made sense. I know that sort of sounds contradictory, but you know, like the romance wasn't just, you know, male and a female, let's have them.
We need the romance.
This was like a sort of emotional thing, and it played on Gwen's sort of like ability to connect with people, and Miles' awkwardness and his development, and also the greater metatextual narrative. So yeah, I don't know, I do think I like the romance. Well, what do you think, especially in terms of, you know, knowing the sort of comic side maybe a bit more than I do?
I'm not really up on Spider-Gwen or Miles, comic-wise, but I don't think the romance is a hindrance at all. It feels very natural. I'm always down for a romance.
Yeah.
So I don't, and then when you look at it in the metatextual sense that you're kind of saying, it makes perfect kind of sense. It's another kind of comment on Miles bucking the trend. We'll probably discuss that as we go. But
yeah. Something that sort of, I think we can talk about right here in regards to the plot, because let's look at it in terms of the whole overall movie.
Yeah.
Is a complaint that you had. You told me you think the movie's too long.
I do, yeah, I do. And it's not necessarily that I don't think it drags, because I don't think there's a scene that I could cut necessarily. You probably could condense some things somewhere. But I definitely, because, well, I don't have an issue with it, because I will sit through 2.5 hours of this movie.
Yes.
But I think it's marketed towards kids, and I don't think kids could sit through 2.5 hours of it.
Well, is it though?
I think
so.
You
know, is it not like is it 12 or a PG?
It's a PG.
PG. I think there's a weird dichotomy in...
It needs to be for both, so
yeah, well,
I'm surprised Sony didn't push more for it to be less.
Well, like less for kids?
Less time, yeah, less
or
run
less
time.
time?
Yeah, less run time. Because I feel like it's easily marketable to kids, because it's animated 1, and because it's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Well, I think, so there's two sort of things I think of when you say that. First off, in terms of Sony not pushing to cut it, I think after the first one was literally gangbusters.
Yeah.
Sony
They
probably
just let them do what they want.
Yeah, so they're probably like, those guys will cook something insane.
Yes.
So we're going to just let them away with it. I'm torn on the idea, because I look at kids' movies in a very different sense these days, because I'm a huge proponent of animation. I'm not saying you're not, but like, I'm very huge of like animation and cinema. I'm very huge of like, it doesn't necessarily need to be for kids. You're not wrong though, like animated films and as a Spider-Man film, they're both something that kids can ping onto more.
Yeah.
But you know, I like to think of it like, there's almost like family animated and then there's kids animated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Spider-Verse is like closer to family animated, because it's stuff that we can all get into.
Yeah.
Compare like this to the Mario movie.
Yeah.
I like the Mario movie, but the Mario movie was for kids.
Yeah.
That was just like silly, goofy, haha, fun. You know, Jack Black sings a song.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was like, no, we're basically making a movie. It's just told through the lens of animation.
Yeah.
So
I think it's maybe some form of like tension, because the story is definitely not for kids.
He's gripping.
Do you get me?
He's fisted. He's like, oh, it's just tension. I got tension.
Because the story's definitely not for kids.
It's definitely not for kids.
I don't think a kid's going to come at this movie and go, do you know what, I think it was a really cool take on Spider-Man canon, and it was a really cool comment about it. I don't think they're going to come out and say that. They're going to say, wasn't it cool that all the Spider-Men were there one?
Goo Goo Gaga.
Exactly.
I liked it when fucking, I was going to say when Spider-Pig shows up, but he actually doesn't, spoilers. Actually, well, do you know what, I will also, sorry, this is assumed when you're listening to us, but
that with
spoilers for everything.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Pig does actually show up, but
it does, aye.
He doesn't have a line, because John Mulaney was probably busy, or they just were like, they didn't really need him to talk.
Yeah.
I always thought that. I'm like, did they not say anything because they couldn't get John or Nick because Spider-Man Noir's there?
Yeah.
Or was it just like, oh, well, he doesn't need to say anything because that's the context of the scene?
Yeah, don't be in the next one, don't worry.
Yeah, that's I suppose there's more like sort of, there's more to that discussion, because I have something kind of, I'm fascinated by Penny. But just to sort of sit and we're saying, there's tension. I'm doing the tension gesture. Yeah. I get what you're saying, but in the marketing, I think it's only really for kids or a younger audience or a less focused audience in terms of not like what it displays itself as, but just by sheer consequence of what it is.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
As an animated film, as a Spider-Man film, you just assume it's probably going to be a better fit. And that's why I didn't really feel...
Well, it's not even that you need to market it to them. It's just that...
They just accept that they probably would like it.
It's Spider-Man, people love Spider-Man, kids love Spider-Man. It's obviously going to be kids.
I didn't really mind the runtime. I can't really... As you say, I can't actually think of a thing you could cut.
Yeah, like I say, I don't actually think I have a problem with it necessarily. I just think if I had to watch it 5 times, I think it would run on me. But watching Into the Spider-Verse 5 times wouldn't in the same way.
I'll give you that. I guess that makes some sense. And there's also the completeness in the narrative. Because when you're watching Into the Spider-Verse, that's one movie. Yeah. And watching Across the Spider-Verse 5 times is long movie, but also you don't even hit an end. Yeah. You'd have to watch Beyond, which is probably going to be 2.5 hours. Yeah. So that's you're watching a 5-hour movie 5 times. Which is a good movie, so I'd happily watch it, although I don't watch anything 5 times. Yeah. Unless it's Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, peak cinema.
Absolute peak cinema.
I'll tell that story when we do a Star Wars episode. So, I do, it's weird. Look, I don't mind the length, but there was times I kind of felt like I know they're just sticky in a place. Like, there was just a lot of, Miles having emotional experiences, talking to his dad, talking to his mum. Yeah. But that was so needed, and everything that was said was really important and really good for the characters. So I think I can just maybe live with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, the family stuff's important because it contrasts Miguel and Spider People later. Yes. Because the family's
that's his thing.
I want you to go this way. This is what I want you to do. I want you to stay in Brooklyn. And he's like, no, I need to branch out. I need to do my own thing. And then later on, obviously, when it comes to Spider People, and it's very obvious it does not want to go this way. Yeah. It has to break out and do his own thing.
I suppose we'll just say we're on sort of a general character discussion, because Miles, obviously, that's really critical to Miles in this.
Yeah, that's his arc.
I mean, that was brilliant. That was really fascinating. I like what it means in contrast to Spider People. As you say, because when I watched it, I'm like, that's his thing. Yeah. He's distinctly different. They all talk about it, because again, going back to the metatextual thing, these themes of the things that have to happen to a Spider-Man are what make you Spider-Man. And I believe that's what they said. The first movie was about how anyone can be Spider-Man, and then the second movie was about what kind of Spider-Man are you though? Are you really the same type of Spider-Man if you don't have an Uncle Ben death, or a police captain death, or a Venom arc, or anything like that? So when I looked at it through the lens of Miles is he has this unique take on everything, and his family's a big thing, and it's important to embrace that and enjoy that, and that's why a lot of the family scenes were quite good and powerful. I really like that they just gave infinitely more attention to Rio in this. Right. Because she wasn't really that big in the first one. She was in it and she had a role, but it was almost more about Miles and Jefferson in the first one. Right, yeah. And even though Jefferson's still in this and is still equally as important to the plot.
Yeah, and it will be a big part of the third movie.
Yes, they were still no, Miles' relationship with his mum was also a big deal. Yeah. It was good because it was also family drama that was it didn't feel this family drama, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, of course. There is that. I feel a lot of things like this where the kid has to not tell his parents everything. Always has a stock character family issue, right? Where the family has to find out and they're all very upset at him, but then they get him around. And I'm also sure that was what could happen here. Yeah. But they expressed the Miles stuff through the lens of multiple different facets. Most prominently, as we talked about there, the whole thing about I want to look after you in the face of our who we are and our culture and that and our people, and I'm worried about you progressing and moving on to bigger things. Yeah. And then obviously how they immediately contrast that with the Spider People. Yeah. Is really great and interesting. So I thought that's because I was sort of worried at the end of the first movie. You kind of feel like Miles has got it. Right. He's locked it in. Obviously he's not perfect. Spider-Man never is, but he's kind of got it.
He kind of does have it.
But then at this one, it's what's happening with Miles to give him issues? What's his arc now? And it's okay, well, it's he's reached the top of the hill, but you got to do a little bit of loops on the roller coaster. There's something fascinating about the expression of loneliness in this film. Right. About Miles and Gwen, and honestly, to a degree, some of the other Spider people like Miguel and Peter. Even though Peter not so much, but how they, the idea of loneliness keeps popping up.
Yeah, Miguel, Gwen, and Miles.
Well, I'd say Peter's included in that because he sort of is the inverse. He has other people. He has his wife.
Well, he dealt with his loneliness in the first movie.
Pretty much, which kind of I think is good for this film because then he comes into it as the one who has had the development. Which, admittedly, he doesn't get a lot of time and a lot of dialogue to express it. It works in the context of the other characters. And it's not a huge theme. It's not loneliness is some great theme. There was something about the whole thing of Miles doesn't have a lot of friends now, and he misses his friends. Gwen's the same. And obviously Miguel's whole thing about his isolation from his family and how that pushes up. It just kept popping up, and every time it did, I was like, oh, all right, I'm feeling something about
Well, Gwen's one and Miles's one is kind of more that superhero trope where it's just I'm lonely because of the job I have to take on and kind of do.
that. Yeah, but you know, they have each other. That's why it's unique in this.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just
They pine
acknowledging.
for each other's company.
They're not just acknowledging. I mean, there's the romance side as well.
Yeah.
But they're not just acknowledging the superhero trope of I'm an island, I have to like protect my family. But they have the unique facet of, but there is 100% someone. There are other people who know exactly what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
I really wish I could talk to them
And I need
because
to
they
get to
would
them.
help.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really unique sort of. I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that I've never really seen someone point out. You know,
Right.
superheroes. That's the thing superheroes can deal with. It's like I'm sure naturally, like Spider-Man and media in general has that natural sense of like companionship with like other people.
He's
like
definitely
Avengers,
more pally
heroes.
than a lot of the Marvel characters, yeah.
So he, you know, I just don't feel like anyone's ever like held up to my face like this
Right.
and be like, that's a really fascinating look. And I suppose this is like a multiverse thing.
Well, you want a comic where Daredevil and Spider-Man have a Chinese and just chat about being superheroes?
That's not just what the Spider-Man comics were, but Daredevil was in it. Like,
I guess, yeah.
but I mean, I kind of, I'm very dull sometimes and dim-witted.
I'd like to see that, like,
I would like to see
bottle
it.
episode, yeah.
I'll tell you, Spider-Man, Daredevil, I'll take anything. Come on, Feige. Yeah, I mean more like I'm very dim-witted and I needed someone to go, oh, it's interesting that you know, they were lonely, but they also have someone to interact with.
Yeah.
These are probably things that people think about all the time. I'm just not very smart sometimes. I'm a bit slow. But this movie was just very good at sort of expressing that.
Yeah. The best scene with it was when they're on the underside of the statue thing on the building, yeah.
Which
Beautiful shot, yeah.
gorgeous as well, absolutely amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was also the big scene for like the romance and the really just that expression of isolationism and you know what it means to be sort of them and Spider-Man in that instance.
Yeah.
It was, you know, there are a lot of scenes that are just people talking and being very rich dialogue. A lot of Miles' scenes with Rio, especially the one under the water tower.
Yep.
I like the bit where he talks to Peter during this chase in the way of York as well.
Well, that's Peter. That's him trying to reach out and say,
Yeah,
you can...
it's silly because it's all like, oh my baby thing, but it's that is kind of that manifestation of the. I mean, it's a couple of things. Maybe I'm being a bit surface level here, but you know, it's that like, you know, I've found community, I've found family, and you know, there's love and affection.
And you're the reason for that.
I don't want to have a criticism in a bad way, but that whole thing where like, oh, Peter's beeper went off and they're going to track him, and I was like, oh, I can't trust you. That's my least favourite trope in media.
Yeah.
I hate contrived liar revealed or like contrived stuff like that. Like,
Right.
come on, the beeper literally goes like, oh, we found your location. And Peter's like, well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And Miles goes, no, I'm unhappy with you now, Peter. I'm like, too many media does that where it's just a contrived nonsense reason. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, you could still be angry at Peter for a myriad of reasons. Like, they had like things like him not telling him. That's a good reason to be angry at Peter. Not like, oh, I guess Peter, in this instance, Peter led them to me. Damn you, Peter, you're actually my enemy. It's not a big deal. I'm trying to avoid going on a rant. I just happens too many times. I hate contrived
I
reasons.
feel like he has nitpicking here, yeah.
He is nitpicking. He is going. I'm trying not to critique the movie. It came up, and I need to let it. I have to have it on the record. I hate that trope. I hate
Not
that
a
trope
fan.
so much.
Not a fan.
But let's draw it back to Gwen quickly.
Okay.
So Gwen, obviously, as we said, you know, she's now like the main protagonist.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
She's got sort of a very interesting thing going on. It's
So Gwen in this movie is like one way revealing your identity goes, which is in the end acceptance.
yes,
I think maybe in the third movie we're going to see possibly a negative way that goes.
with Gwen.
No, not with Gwen. Maybe with Miles or another Spider person who has to reveal their identity, because Miles hasn't done it and he's kind of struggling in this movie to do it.
I suppose.
He does do it at the end, but not to his parents.
Yeah, he does have personal acceptance, but we don't know if he gets social.
Yeah, he's got the personal acceptance. He's ready to tell people
I think
close to him. Yeah.
With Gwen's situation, I'm kind of seeing it. I mean, this is not like I'm not like a big cool smart guy when I say this, but you know, there's a lot of parallels in Miles and Gwen in this instance, and not just the whole Spider-Man canon events, but like, you know, they both sort of look at, you know, those characters and their family dynamic and how that impacts how they proceed through their sort of situation as Spider-Man,
Right.
and sort of how it weaves in and out it. What is interesting is sort of, at least from the top of this movie, is Miles' family not knowing, but Gwen having to tell her dad.
Yeah.
Even though there's not a lot of time where Gwen's with her dad,
Yeah.
she's deliberately going away from him. How that sort of affects her thought process and her development going forward. That sense of isolationism I talked about. You know, she's almost as if she's kind of running from it, but not really in a bad way. Like, I get why she's sort of so afraid of the situation, and I feel for her. I talked about it a little bit, like, quote unquote like contrived family stuff. But what they're doing with Gwen and how her relationship with her dad is, and again, maybe we should read a bit more Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
Because maybe this is what they tackle in those comics, but
Maybe.
her whole situation was sort of quite interesting and compelling.
Right.
Again, it's very much like, that superhero thing of I saw you at a dead body, so I'm assuming you're the issue.
Yes.
But in this instance, I didn't really mind because...
Well, I find it very easy because I just think that is how a police officer would probably react.
Well, yeah, stuff like that. It was done in a very realistic way, and they sort of used a lot of dialogue to express it. And, one thing I like is that they focus on Captain Stacy and this Peter were like friends and like family and that. So it's not just like, I saw your dead body. It's like, I saw your dead body of my surrogate son.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to assume something flagrant because I fucking love that kid.
Yeah.
I was really always interested when they went back to that, because then obviously they come around on Gwen's sort of tension navigating her world and her isolationism and her sort of strange relationship with her dad because of what he believes about her. They come back to that in the end, not the ending, but the later scene where she comes back and talks to her dad, and then again it talks to him.
Yeah.
And I really like that, Zane. I like people being honest and earnest and just laying things out in detail. When someone clears up ambiguity and the honest is on, like, right, now you have to react. Like, I'm being clear with you, so now it's up to you to deal with that. Then George just being like, from that, I'm quitting the force. I decided halfway through your speech.
Yeah.
I might be, I don't know what exactly is clicking me about it, but I really like Spider-Gwen in these movies, especially.
It's a powerful scene, and everyone loves Gwen Stacy. So as extension, everyone should love Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen as a character, it was just like a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
It was almost like a sort of like a nonsense thing at the start. Not in a bad way against Scott. I just mean like what if Gwen Stacy is Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker?
Yeah.
But they've really taken it and run with it. Which, to be fair, there is, as you say, everyone loves Gwen Stacy. I believe Spider-Gwen was just like a popular concept, so obviously they're going to keep seeing what they can mine from that. But I never expected to care as much, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just never expected to be like, damn, this is really fascinating.
Right.
And I'm really sort of happy with the whole, the band thing, leaving her band, her isolation, and then her coming down to the ending, like, no, I'm forming a new band, I'm carving my own path, I've reached sort of a personal thing with my dad. That's one of those things we're talking about character arcs being sort of complete. I'm sure they can find a thing to do with Gwen in the next one, but she has a very pronounced growth of acceptance of, like, getting on with her dad, and there's sort of an interesting thing where it's like she starts feeling quite isolated, and then she gets to go to other spider people, and she finds acceptance in that sense. But Miles doesn't, and she has to basically reconcile her sort of relationship with these people, the spider people, and her newfound sort of purpose in that.
Well, that kind of loses me a bit there because she tells her dad, immediately it's rejected, is then swept away by the spider people, where she finds acceptance, but still misses Miles because he connects to her on a deeper level than the other spider people
like
even.
Friends, they've got they relate a lot.
They've got the shared experience of the previous movies, obviously, which probably
like
helps.
That, definitely.
But she should know that what the plan is fucked up, and by going to Miles and not telling him is like a betrayal.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I think there's a lot to be probed there, actually.
Which we might get in the next movie, because Miles doesn't know Gwen is immediately rejected by the spider people after he leaves.
That's true, aye.
He doesn't know that
yet.
He doesn't know she's coming to save him. So that could be resolved or kind of tackled in the next film, probably.
Yeah, I think about Peter B and Gwen knowing.
Yeah.
And not telling it, and Penny as well.
Peter makes more sense because Peter has other things happening.
Plus he's
like
kind of experienced. Child. He is a long-term Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he actually accepts Miguel's take.
It's true.
He understands that he thinks the canon events are necessary.
I think, do you know what? That's the thing we should look at is like the concept of the canon events.
Right.
So
it's kind of like the turning point on the film, to be honest with you.
It's a strange sort of like laying out of the concept.
It's really cool though.
I think it's very cool. I think it's a very bold thing to just say, guess what, we're looking at Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We're looking at Spider-Man TM.
Yeah.
And it's, I say they lay it out, it's very much like, no, we're looking at this on a broader scale, that these things are going to happen. These are like the things that you always see. The willingness to show us, like we can talk about cameras in a fun way, but the willingness to show us like Spectacular Spider-Man had a Gwen Stacy death, Insomniac Spider-Man had a suffering, Spider-Man Unlimited, Toby, Andrew, like fucking Tom. I mean, Tom didn't really get a lot of attention in this movie for obvious reasons, but like because they're more focused on him as like the multiverse breaking one, I think. But
Yeah.
the point is, the willingness for them to gather all this and just say, look, these are the things that you always see, and what does that mean? And yeah, I first off, again, as we say, great concept, really great way to look at Spider-Man through the lens of the repeated elements and how each version of it might deal with it, how it might look for a different person.
Yeah.
And then specifically, when we look at what this movie's trying to say about them and how that uses it in the plot, Peter B has seen his canon events.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I've had Uncle Ben die, and I'm sure his Captain Stacy's dead, and he's probably had a Venom incident.
Yeah.
You know, he is old and aged. So I think if Miguel shows him this, he's like, yeah, I mean, those things did happen to me, and I'm going in and I'm meeting people who has happened to. And I'm not saying just because Gwen is like different, like obviously like a completely different, not Peter Parker, and has a different set of characters. That it's different for her. She's young,
but she's still a spider.
She's still to experience certain things. She can also relate to, well, yeah, I did have that one person that was really close to me die that really affected me in that person. But then they obviously have the whole thing where her dad's like, oh, I'm not going to be a police captain anymore. And she's like, well, shit, will my Captain Stacy die then? And like, what does that mean as a spider person? So she's a bit more malleable because of experience. Experience seems to be like a big thing. Every character's relationship to their experience as a spider person, not just in terms of like how, you know, I've suffered X amount of canon events, but you know, how that's impacted them as a person, which gets us to Miguel. I did not expect Miguel to be the way that he was, first of all.
Yeah, because he's a reflection of Miles, and then he's the like villain of the film.
He's basically the villain, yeah. I mean, we'll get to the villain in a sec, but he is basically the villain. So Miguel's thing is like, I have lived too long. I've lived through so much, and I've made a mistake. I think what's critical
I've
to
made
this...
the mistake you, Miles, will make.
Yes. What's critical to everything working here is that Miguel has deliberately lived through the experience. He's like, I have done the bad thing. This isn't a what if.
Yeah, I know what happens.
I have done the bad thing, and a bad thing happened. I will say, I'm agreeing with a lot of people online that I actually think it's possible that Miguel's wrong, and that maybe it wasn't as simple as he interfered with a canon event and that immediately caused the multiverse to collapse or whatever. I think there's maybe a bit going on, but you know, as far as Miguel looks, he's like, I did a critically wrong thing. I fucked with the timeline a wee bit.
I've done action A and B happened.
Yeah, there was actually, I fucked around and I found out.
Yeah.
While I kind of was like, oh God, Miguel's going to be like a really edgy edgelord bad guy in this, but then because he had a very distinct reason for doing it, you know, I'm like, okay, this is good. I get where he's coming from. I'm surprised how sort of he is quite vicious.
Yeah.
He's just aggressive.
I've not read a lot of 2099.
Okay.
I think that's like that with the fangs and
some
stuff.
People say that like comics 2099 would like be on Miles' side, not Miguel's.
Probably. Well, I mean, most spider people probably would be because they want to save everyone.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? We should talk about that actually. I mean, I'm not trying to pull up a critique of the film, but there's a very interesting sort of distance between, you know, as we know, Spider-Man, it is a very much... I don't really think about many Spider-Man people who aren't of the mindset of we just have to save anyone we can.
Yeah.
You know, we have the power to do so we have the responsibility to do so.
Where is it where it's definitely Spider-Man? It might be Spider-Verse one, where someone, it's like, just save one. No, that's fucking Justice League. Just save one.
That's
right?
Justice League.
That's how I think about it, to be fair.
That's the Justice League.
Just save one, and that's it. You're in there. You can do it. Just save one.
Yeah, I'm sort of like that. In my head, it's very much as, you know, just save one or just do everything that you have the ability to do. And this, I'm talking about what Spider-Man in his purest perfect sense. Some Spider people need to get to this level of thinking.
Down.
Yeah, and what it should be at his best. As some people might not, some characters might not understand this yet, but they have to get there.
It's like self-sacrifice.
Yeah,
save.
You will have to suffer, but you shouldn't try to avoid suffering. You should embrace life, have friends, have family, and yeah, save as much people as you think you can. Always try and help people. You know, you can't ever, like, yeah, you have to make personal sacrifice, but you can't ever just be like, I'm going to let someone die.
Yeah.
I have the power to save them, but theoretically something bad might be prevented.
Yeah.
In my head, Spider-Man would be smarter than no. I save lives and we just deal with issues as they come up. So this movie it requires you to basically ignore that slightly.
It almost would be better if Superior Spider-Man was the villain in this film.
Yes. Let's get Superior Spider-Man involved. I am on this train. Why? Go and talk to me.
Because that is just like Doc Ock as Spider-Man if you don't know, that's what Superior Spider-Man is.
Yes.
Doc Ock and Spider-Man.
So it's Doc Ock's like brain took
Consciousness.
over because it's Peter Parker's
Soul,
body,
whatever.
but he's taken over Peter Parker's body.
Yeah, and he just goes, right, I'm going to just sort it. It's going to be easy, it's no problem. I'm going to get a diploma, I'm going to make Parker Industries or whatever he's involved.
Parker Industries.
If it's not, it's like the other weird one. Going to make it great. I'm
I
going
to
be the best scientist. I'm going to create Spider Drones. So if there's like a shitty theft I don't need to deal with, they can just deal with it. I'm just going to sort it and it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And I think if it was, you parse that out and he's now ruler of the universe, the biggest spider person ever, and control everything, I'm just going to like look into the multiverse. Oh my god, this other spider person from Earth 500 has just broke the canon and he's destroyed his universe. I should watch out for that next time.
You know what you're saying is actually really resonant with me quite aggressively.
Yeah.
You're making a really good point.
Well, I just think if you were to follow it through, that version of Spider-Man, they're like basically the evil one. Or at least morally grey, more than normal, would probably lead to that at some point.
Yeah, the idea of like a Doc Ock Superior Spider-Man looking at it and being like, I'm going to literally perfect being a hero, and he's saying
it's kind of like his mission statement is, I'm just going to be the better Spider-Man than you.
Yeah,
actually
the superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea that he'd maybe get to that point where he's like, well, yeah, I have to, if I maintain this proper flow of time and proper flow of events, to always produce a Spider-Man who will then save people if I do things perfectly. Yeah, it really does resonate.
Yeah.
I will say though, Miguel isn't really the villain.
No.
So do you think that, if they use Superior Spider-Man, he could easily veer more towards a less relatable villain? Whereas what they did with Miguel, that's what I'm saying, Miguel, I get what Miguel's doing, I get where he's coming from, and he almost is relatable, and I don't so much as see him as the villain.
If it was Superior Spider-Man, it would be unrelatable.
Yeah, it'd be
because
a lot more of a villain.
Exactly, yes.
But it would also make a bit more sense. But then, it's really fascinating. I'm really going to think about what you said there. That's really fascinating of a concept to think about, at least in terms of trying to explore it. Because what I'm thinking is what you need to suspend in disbelief is the spider people who are saying we acknowledge that certain things have to happen.
Yeah. All the spider people that saw Uncle Ben die and were like, I can't let that happen to anyone ever again, are now going to know that the future, yes, that a police captain will die, and just accept that. You need to just place that in a box.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah. I don't think it's too bad because at the end of the film, Gwen gets Spider-Man, Penny, and Peter Parker on her side, and Spider-Punk, right?
Yeah,
so
and as well.
That would possibly lead me to believe
Spider-Bite as well.
That Miguel has handpicked this Spider Society of spiders that agree with that point of view.
Gwen's or his?
That his.
Yes.
What I mean?
Yes. And he bumps up against these spider people that don't honestly conform.
Like Peter B, you're too jokey, I hate you.
And he basically just does not give any love or respect to Spider-Punk. It's like Spider-Punk kid if you fucking hate him.
He destroys what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to run this shit. And Spider-Punk's like, really just don't want to do this.
He's very much of a, you got to get in line, you got to understand. He's very much of a strong arm. And I think this is something that the last movie might, and maybe this is an issue of the movie being a two-parter. I think, see if the third movie ends with like a literal global acceptance of the spider people to maybe not quite do it the way they're doing it.
Right.
A realization of people, like every individual, Insomniac Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, they all just
like in Miguel's clubhouse.
Yeah, they sort of realise that, look, do you know what, maybe
this is wrong.
Miles is right, and they see Miles do that to save his dad, and it's like, we should save people, we're doing this maybe not quite right. Because what I think makes it at least acceptable, like the idea that these spider people are maybe not quite doing it as right as you'd think they would, is that like the constant acceptance of a grander goal, which is why having a person like Miguel who's very focused on making it about a righteous reason makes it work. Because it's like, right, okay, we are Spider-Man and we're because these are ultimately personal sacrifices, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, not in a selfish way, but if you as a Peter Parker look at another Peter Parker and see them lose their Uncle Ben and see them lose their Captain Stacy, and you're like, oh, well, do you know what, that did happen to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a thing that will happen, and it shaped me and it got me to where I need to be so that I can save more people.
Yeah.
And if I go against this, it might destroy the fucking universe, which is going to hurt a hell of a lot of people. So
I could see Miguel stuffing it down and being deep down that classic spider person that we all know is in there, but with the reasoning, managing to sacrifice that and just keep it down.
And it's very much like a duty thing. It's very much like I have to grow above it. I have to look at things on an insane scale. I have to expand my focus to an insane degree. And I think that keeps it compelling enough. I think everything that they do with Miguel and the General Spider Society just makes it understandable to a degree. I do think a lot of these things could very easily be like really pulled out in a good way and finish in a good way in a third movie.
I don't think it's going to end the way you think, though.
What with them all sort of just...
I don't think they'll redeem it. I think they're probably going to destroy it in the end. Not the whole multiverse.
Holy shit.
Like destroy like their ability to move between it.
Oh.
So like, because at that point I think it would be like, we shouldn't know the canon. We should just act.
Yeah, I think, you know, I definitely agree with that. That like, yeah, the ending of the solution is like, we shouldn't be adherent to canon. We should just be the best version of ourselves. What happens does happen. Some things, I'm sure some things will always happen, but like...
It may not happen the way I'm describing it, but I think that's where we'll end up.
I don't want them to destroy multiverse travel. I want them to be able to interact with each other.
Right.
Feel like they should, you know, complete disassembly of the rigidity. You know, we can't control everything. We can't do everything. We just have to allow spider people to be what's best for themselves. But a way to like allow everyone to stay in contact's good for the closing and isolation, because it's about found family, finding your people. I mean, technically they don't need to do a found family story so much because they have Miles' family as like his actual family are good. Yeah. But it's still, I think it'd be a really good thing to be like, no, these are still the people who are like Miles and get Miles. These are Miles ending up finding acceptance with the big people outside of his home, but then at least still maintaining that love with his family. Right. I mean, I don't want it to be, it's not utopic, I don't want it to be like perfect, but it would be like a really good emotional squeeze at the end. It'd be a very good like resolving both sides of his life in a way that he can at least move forward with. Right. Do you think Jefferson's going to die in the next one?
Do I think he is? No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think he will. I think it might be Rio.
You think Rio might die instead? Do you think that's like subversion? Like, they'll save Jefferson, but then Rio dies? And
I think it's like, you're looking over here, so we're going to do this over here. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I really can't say.
No.
Because it really just depends on what they really, how they want to land on this.
Because I think if he does die, we could easily flip Miles to be like a totally broken, bloodthirsty kind of Spider-Man.
Well, super spoilers. Do you think rather than kill, I mean, I suppose... They're obviously going to explore that in this universe where Miles is a Prowler, because that's the Jefferson died. Yeah. Miles never got his powers, so like in my head,
there's no Spider-Man.
Well, there's that too. I don't really want to muddy that, because it'd be nice if they used that to wring out the emotional energy of what that Miles could look like.
That is what it will be, to be fair, but
and then they take it back to the real Miles' world, and it's like, well, you know, how is that different now? What can we change here and now? I really don't know. But killing Rio would be a bold move as well, to be fair. But I don't want to say Spider-Man has to have a sacrifice, because I honestly feel like that's what the movie's trying to not say. But no. You don't have to have a sacrifice. Or like,
sort of like
this sacrifice.
It's sort of like a take that the comics have to have. There's like, it needs to be suffering, bro. It needs to be like living the shittiest life possible. Like
Peter Parker at the very least.
Yeah.
He's goddamn suffering.
He needs a win.
So I don't know if Miles suffers quite as much, but
I think
Spider-Man fucking suffers.
Like, some level of suffering is integral, but my favourite Batman's Grant Morrison's Batman, and see Grant Morrison's Batman, he's basically God, so he doesn't really suffer, does he?
That's pretty much, aye. Grant Morrison's Batman, that's like, it's not funny, but I've always thought Grant Morrison's Batman had an air of levity about him.
Well, yeah, but like, Grant Morrison himself's like, he's sorted out. Like, he's dealt with the trauma, he doesn't really have much of it going on.
You know what, that is, that makes sense. I get what you're saying now. Because I don't know, like, I've never liked to look at Spider-Man through the lens of suffering.
I mean, Parker Luck, that's a different thing. I get that. Sure, like, he's going to be late for the bus or something. Like, I can get that, that's kind of funny. And I do accept that we need to have some sort of something.
There has to be something that really
doesn't need to be some sort of grand tragedy, like Aunt May dies every 10 pages. But it needs to be something, do you know what I mean?
In the multiverse of Aunt Mayness.
Yeah, it needs to be something. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be something.
I don't like to think of Spider-Man suffering. I'd be fine if Spider-Man suffered in the way that everyone suffers. Tony Stark has alcoholism. Yeah. Like, you know, fucking Barry Allen's mum died. Like, everyone will experience something that will push them. I like it when people, you know, they have a thing that they have to deal with, but I like to watch them dealing with it. Although comics is a medium, and these characters and things like this a medium, they kind of will cycle back on it.
Of course, yeah.
Grant Morrison's Batman will resolve his issues, and then Robert Pattinson's Batman will not resolve his issues.
Grant Morrison, at the end of his run, obviously, like, it's the end of Grant Morrison's Batman. Batman has to continue.
Yeah.
Like, it can't end.
Yeah.
It just has to happen.
Aye, and I'm always fascinated by how they do that. Yeah. Because that's why, I mean, we're like, you know, they'll start a new take and then they just have to go again. Yeah. Whereas, like, sometimes, like, comics is a good one because it's, unlike barring universe fucking reboots, it's always going to be this guy is the same guy that was there. He's just moving forward. And how
which is easier for Marvel because they haven't rebooted the universe. It's the same universe pretty much since the 60s.
So I think this is a problem that actually comes less for comics and more for movies, TV shows, games, because you're always going to get thrown a new character, which kind of is what this movie's looking at. Because like, yep, there's boom, this guy had this event, this guy had this event. You're always going to see suffering again and again. It's always going to be repeated issues.
Yeah.
I just can't think how they're going to resolve it. I just really hope they resolve it in a way that's like, canon events don't matter. You will probably have something that defines you.
Yeah.
But you're not. Don't be beholden to what you think might happen. Just be Spider-Man. Save lives. Do what you can. You will have to deal with some hardships, but you will deal with those hardships.
See, for breaking the canon, it might be better to have no one die.
Yeah.
But then that feels like I've been cheated because
You just fucking love people dying. Guardians 3, I can't believe no one died.
I was surprised no one died, to be fair. But yeah, I because I would feel cheated in a way because I just want them to suffer, apparently. Because I think Miles has to have something like that.
Wait, he had his uncle.
I guess. Do you know what? That's kind of true.
And like that's the thing that I think we're trying to explain is that like you can be Spider-Man and not have to.
Yeah.
Like you can do your best. And
I didn't have an Uncle Ben. I had an Uncle Aaron, and he died.
Aye, he has that suffer in that movie, and
Yeah.
I want this movie to say like, no, do you know what? Fuck you. He doesn't need to suffer.
I've saved him.
Be powerful, and he tries his best and saves them. And I don't want it to be in spite. It's not like I saved my fucking.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like
fuck
that.
you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Because I also want them to stick with the Gwen thing and be like, yeah, Gwen's avoided like her dad dying because he's not a police captain anymore, and they just skip that.
Or the new police captain dies and she's like, oh, lol.
Yeah. Bozo, R.I.P. I want them to make that statement of like, you know, Spider-Man isn't defined by bad things always happening.
Yeah.
And not Parker Locke by like, you know, you have to have these losses. You have to hit the quota of fucking horrible things happening to be a certified Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Miles has suffered, but he doesn't need to suffer anymore. He can be himself and do his thing and save people. You know, he doesn't need to go through that experience. And that's where I want them to land no matter what. I want them to land on that acceptance of like, look, you know what I mean? We are all individuals as much as some of us are literally the same person. You know, and we should allow that, embrace that.
Is there something to be said for me just now, right? Trying to think of happy Spider-Man stories, and I can't think of any. I can just think of like Spider-Man No More, he's in turmoil, wants to quit. Death of Captain Stacy, Death of Gwen Stacy, One More Day, Civil War, like all this shit. I can't think of the positives really, to be honest with you.
I don't think Spider-Man's ever been happy.
Peter
Spider-Man's
Parker.
happy on the minute to minute, and then like the whole story, like he looks forward a couple of pages, and it's like the name of the story is like, we're going to fucking blow up Aunt May in this one. It's like, oh fuck.
I mean, there's always the happy moments. marrying Mary Jane.
Mary Jane,
all the time with Gwen.
Although, you know, controversial opinion, I actually prefer Gwen Stacy. You know.
I mean, a lot of people prefer... The great thing about Mary Jane is that she also preferred Gwen Stacy.
She did.
And it's like, it's a perfect kind of coming together after the death of her.
You know what? Big ups to Ramita.
Yes.
I read that page of the epilogue of the night Gwen Stacy died, where you know Peter comes back and he shouts at Mary Jane,
and she's going to leave.
Yeah, and
she doesn't leave.
And I got it about that was like,
it's good, isn't it?
It's
good, isn't it?
It's good fucking stories.
It's good. It's so good.
What's the one where they just fucking retconned the shit out of the night Gwen Stacy died and she was like fucking Green Goblin?
Oh, the other.
Like, I wish that never happened. I can't think of the night Gwen Stacy died without thinking of that now.
That could be better, yeah.
But yeah, no, I suppose you're right. I think Spider-Man's only ever happy in other superhero stories that aren't Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, Spider-Man's having a great time when he's like part of the Avengers.
He is, isn't he? He's loving life.
I feel like, honestly, the only one I've ever seen where Spider-Man has at least a decent time is actually Spider-Verse, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because it seems more like, I mean, yeah, he has to deal with shit like Morlun and that, but...
And he fucking hates Morlun.
He does, I mean, you know, fucking... I would hate a vampire who's like, right, I specifically eat you.
Yeah, just you.
Across the fucking universe, bro. Yeah, everything I've seen of that, I mean, I suppose you've read Start 10, at least in the first Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
To be fair, Spider-Geddon, I think actually does feature some deaths and it's a bit more weighty, but as far as I've seen of Spider-Verse, it seems a bit more like, you know, a lot of more fun between the characters, and it doesn't seem like it's focused on like, Peter Parker, bad news, fucking Flash Thompson's died, suffer more.
Yeah, it's not that deep, no. They have like wee teams, like superiors get a wee team with the Assassin Spider-Man and stuff. You go on like in surgical missions and stuff like that.
Do you know what? We're going to talk about Spot.
Okay, let's talk about Spot.
Right before we go to the Spot.
Oh.
Well, let's quickly throw a couple of darts at Spider people.
Right, okay.
So, very quickly, so I want to mention Penny Parker.
Right, okay, yeah.
So Penny was
What about Penny?
Actually, in this movie, quote
From the previous film, yeah.
She has a line, she's part of society. She probably knew as much as Peter and Gwen did. I feel like they gave her more attention than Noir and Pig though, so that they could do the glow up. So they could be like, by the way, she's got SP-DR here. It's the comic SP-DR. She looks visibly depressed because we're doing Evangelion. I love that. I'm really excited to see like what Perry's up to.
Okay.
As someone who knows Evangelion and as someone who knows a wee bit about Penny from the comics.
Right, okay.
You know, Gerard Way, I saw someone say when I was a young boy, my father took me to the city to see the Spider Band or whatever. Black Parade, like full sad times Perry Parker. There was characters and there was cameos. I think Jessica Drew was woefully underused.
Yeah, it's a weird version.
I don't mind
I don't know like much about the pregnancy version, but I think the pregnancy version was like very disliked.
Well, I wouldn't know, sorry.
I wouldn't know either.
I've heard a lot of people, what I'm interested in is apparently this version of Jessica is actually an amalgamation.
Right.
Like, you know, there's the pregnancy is one type of Jessica Drew, like shooting web at her fingers.
Yeah.
The design's taken from like a whole other Spider-Woman type thing.
Yeah, well the 616 white.
Yes, I believe, I saw a lot of people say, apparently there's like a story, I don't know if it's 616, but there was a story where it was a black woman who became Spider-Woman.
Right.
And it wasn't Jessica Drew, it was like a different person, but that's sort of the design they based it on.
Okay.
Which is like a cool, I really like that, and I really like her design. I like that she's always on the motorbike.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the pregnancy thing. I think it's just a great thing for a character.
Right.
I just really am fascinated by it, and that's the problem.
Because I just don't know much about her, yeah.
They really emphasise that Gwen and Jessica have got a thing going on.
Yeah,
and
it's sort of mother-daughter.
I never looked at it.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting to see more of because of what we're talking about with like Gwen's relationship to the Spider Society. Like, if we knew more about Gwen having like, oh no, I've found a person who I'm really doing well with.
Yeah.
Because also she doesn't really get on with Miguel. Miguel's like an arsehole.
Yeah, Miguel's like an asshole to everyone.
If we really understood more of like no, I actually did find Jessica. Me and Jessica are literally besties. She's like my Superman.
Well, she's cool with Jessica. Hobie's obviously her bestie.
Yeah, Hobie as well. We see a bit of her and Hobie, which is interesting. That's why I'm saying I think...
Peter Pavaka. Pavaka, is that?
Pavita Prabhakar, I believe you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I'm really
Spider-Man in
pronunciation. Yeah, I don't think it's hard to pronounce. I'm just not good at pronunciation.
Yeah, me too.
I believe in the movie he says Pavita Prabhakar.
Right.
This is going to sound like a weird aside. I love the little different versions of Peter Parker. I like Peter Parked Car.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's not even like a made up thing. That's from that's from the comic.
Yeah.
I just hit the ceiling when I saw Peter Parked Car. So I suppose it's not so much a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a criticism of the movie. I just, you know, like it's interesting seeing Gwen with Pavita and Hobie, but I just wish they'd showed a bit more of her and Jessica because they refer to the Jessica thing as like a big deal, but show don't tell.
I guess, yeah.
But I still liked her. Kind of curious to see where she goes. I think she's going to maybe be the one to turn, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think they're going to hone in on that relationship with Gwen, and she's probably going to be the first one to like go distinctly from Miguel to Gwen.
Right.
Ben Reilly was in this movie.
Ben Reilly was in this film.
You like Ben Reilly?
I love Ben Reilly.
Did you like Ben Reilly in this film?
Kinda, yeah. I think so.
He is, I'd say out of all the people in this, he's the most of a joke.
Yeah, it's very easy to make fun of the 90s, and especially the Clone Saga.
It's very Clone Saga.
Yeah. But it was I really liked how it was designed, because it is like the 90s.
Yeah, I actually did like that art style.
I liked his inner monologue, because there's loads of inner monologue in the 90s.
I think Andy Samberg did a great job, yeah.
He did great,
we've not mentioned performances. Every single person in this movie was one great.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac, brilliant. Shamik Moore, Miles, Haley Steinfeld, Jason Schwartzman. I'm just going to name every actor in the cast. I just thought they were all fantastic. I thought I could list the entire cast because I just thought they were all amazing. But yeah, I thought Andy Samberg was a fun cast.
Yeah.
I know this is going to sound strange because obviously, but see when we first see him, he's just very clearly just Chris Pine, Peter Parker from the first one. He is just that. Like, I mean, he's not exactly, but you can tell he's a clone of Peter Parker because he looks exactly like Peter B, and he's got that same long face. Sort of swooshy hair.
Where was he?
Well, when you first see him, he's not got his mask on. Oh, I'm not saying Chris Pine, Peter Parker is in it. I'm saying when we first see Ben Reilly, when they're walking through the society and he's purely leaning against the pillar, getting all mopey, he's not got his mask on.
Oh yeah.
He's like literally just Peter B in it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Obviously they would do that because obviously, but for some reason I never really computed. And I'm like, that's just a great design. They animated him really well. I suppose it's that thing of like he has just more of a joke than the rest.
Yeah.
I'd maybe hope they riff on him a bit in the next one.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Give him a bit more attention then. Although they might not bring him back because they sort of deliberately fridged him in this one.
It's weird because what's his canon events? He's a clone.
I suppose that's a question. There's a meme about this. What are certain people's canon events? What did Ben Reilly go through that makes him as much as Spider-Man? You know?
Well, he's got memories.
By the logic of Ben Reilly being Spider-Man, right? This is going to sound fucking wild.
We're going to get really metaphysical here.
Are you ready for this? If Ben Reilly, who is a clone of an already existing Spider-Man, can also be his own Spider-Man, could Venom be a Spider-Man? Because Venom's his own
Only-
Spider-Man adjacent character with his own set of experiences.
Only if it's a clone of Peter or a different universe Peter that's Venom-Verse or something.
Well, there's a fun thought. They obviously, in this movie,
Uh-huh.
the Spot jumps into the Sony Venom universe.
Yes.
Is Venom the Spider-Man of that universe? Because he obviously doesn't have a Spider-Man.
Do we know of?
That we know
That
of.
we know of you.
God, I don't want to see Venom 3 in cinemas. He's going to take me to Venom 3.
That's
I'm
a good
shamed.
point. It might be.
I'm maybe speaking in a bit of a way. Like, the listeners are probably like, what is he
Yeah,
cooking?
yeah.
Like, but I just think,
That's probably just, it's a Spider-Man related property and we'll have him show up in it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean more looking at the canon event thing.
Yeah, of
Like,
course,
what
of course.
defines... You know,
The
I need to
canon.
know more about characters. What is Ben Reilly's canon events?
Yeah. They would just be Peter's.
Yeah. Like, exactly. Or,
But it hasn't lived them.
you've read more of his stories. Does he get any, like, is he like an Ant-Man that dies? I'm sure he has a Venom arc, to be fair. He's a Venom now, actually. He's Chasm now, isn't he?
No, he's gone now, I think.
Oh, R.I.P.
Not, I don't think he's dead. I think he's locked
R.I.P.
up somewhere.
Rip Bozo.
Yeah. I don't know if he's got a full-on death or anything. Maybe. I'm not really sure. He does have a relationship with Hallows Eve. I can't remember her name. But
Oh, that's not her name?
no, that's her like, villain name.
Okay.
That was quite recent. That was the Dark Web stuff. Who's like his Mary Jane.
Okay.
So I guess it could be something like that.
So yeah, in my brain,
That's
I'm,
really recent, so I don't really think that's
I'm
it.
looking at these characters who are like, you know,
He's more upset with the fact that, like,
just his shitty existence as a clone.
yeah, and like Peter's got his memories, he's not got all the memories, like it's weird stuff like that.
I think Ben's a weird one because of his positions.
Clones are always weird.
Is Ben's Peter Parker still alive in an active Spider-Man?
Well,
Do you know what
the
I mean?
design would lead you to believe it's B, right? The
Peter
fate.
B?
Yeah.
Well, possibly. Although I just think that's how Peter
Generic
Parker
Peter
looks.
Parker,
Aye.
yeah.
I mean more like, you know, in Ben Reilly's universe,
yeah.
is his Spider-Man still alive as his own Spider-Man?
Yeah.
A really interesting thing to look at is the concept of Spider-Man.
Or have they done the weird, I'm going to be Spider-Man for a minute so you can take a break, bro?
True, but then what? So let's say Peter in his universe decides I'm going to be Spider-Man again. Do they just shuffle Riley back out?
Yeah, they just do life story where they swap twice and don't tell you. Like, that's what they do.
Oh,
And right at the end they'd go, oh, by the way, Peter's alive, he's got 3 kids, lol.
Oh my god. Because I think there's a lot to be looked at in terms of these universes that might have more than one Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to swing. I'm going to
Big
take a big
ol'-
swing here.
Big ol' swing.
So I liked having Insomniac Spider-Man in the universe.
Right.
That's a great cameo. I love Yuri Lowenthal. He should be a much bigger character than he is though.
Right.
He has a Miles who is Spider-Man as well.
In his universe.
And he has a 2 Spider-Man functional universe.
Yep. Where's the canon events here,
What
bro?
the hell's going on there?
Maybe it's because he's further up the canon. Because his Aunt May's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if any other Aunt May's are
Well, I'm
dead.
not saying I don't understand why. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons why Insomniac Spider-Man would join the society. I mean, more like, especially going forward with Miles as a character.
Yeah.
I've told you, I think the resolution for Miles is a realization that, you know,
I don't need the canon.
I don't need the canon events, but also I want him to interact with other Miles.
Yes. So you want... I mean, it'd be cool to see a Miles society.
Yeah. Or even just like, just a good, like, Miles is also going to interact with his Prowler self, but
Yeah.
for Miles to see, like, other functioning Miles that maybe Miguel's ignored or, like, they sort of just missed of
It's a
that.
good point, Ewan, to be honest. It makes real sense when you're saying it like that because there's a lack of Miles in the multiverse.
Exactly. And there is a multiverse of Miles as
There
well.
is at least 2 Miles that we
And
know of.
to bring up Insomniac Spider-Man is cool because I like the cameo, but then it makes me just go,
Where's
what about
Miles?
Insomniac Miles?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Maybe,
like
maybe that is for the next film, but
And he's got his own, the whole thing, the whole
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales game is his fucking canon events.
yeah.
He loses his people close to me, he has like whole
His
things.
friend, yeah.
You know, it's different. You know, he loses his friend, and I would say, honestly, the Finn thing isn't even as strong as... It's not like he lost his Aunt May type thing.
Yeah.
He did lose his dad, to be fair. No, he lost his dad in the game.
Yeah.
His relationship with Prowler. I'm not saying it's bad and I'm angry. I'm just saying there is a fucking big diamond right there.
Yeah.
And in Sonic... No, not Sonic. Sony Animations, Lord Miller, usually they hit it with a really big pickaxe.
It could be they just don't know how to deal with it because
It doesn't so much fit.
maybe not in this story,
Or at least in this story.
But,
in
like,
Across the Spider-Verse.
the thing they're laying out is quite big. Like tackling canon as a concept is big enough, I think. I don't think to introduce something that could undermine it straight away
Yes.
in that film
Yes, yes,
is
yes,
maybe
yes.
too much.
That's why I think I'm accepting it now and hoping
Yeah.
that they do address it in the next movie. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it would be more important for the resolution of Miles' story than it would be for the whole canon thing.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the cameos? And I don't want to talk
Yeah,
in terms
I
of
was
like a
happy with
nerdy-
them.
And I don't want to just be like nerd, you're like, oh dude, I pogged when I saw
Yeah.
like so and so.
I didn't see like everyone. I haven't like watched Easter egg videos to fully
I did
see
watch
everyone.
One. That's quite
So like
surprising.
I don't, is PS1 in it? I think so.
PS1, the videos that I've seen have not identified PS1.
Right.
The video game characters was Insomniac. You had Video Man from Spectacular Friends of Spider-Man,
Right.
Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, and then the Green Goblin from like the Atari Spider-Man game.
Right.
So that's your video game character.
Okay, I mean I don't know why Spider-Man PS1 is in. Literally 0 out of 10 film.
0 out of 10 film.
Spectacular was good.
Spectacular, I think, was really interesting because we need to look at how he was probably the most ascended cameo.
Yeah, because people love his show. It got cancelled, so it didn't get a clear resolution, and it was like they weren't sure if he was fully in it.
And then they show his Captain Stacy dying, which didn't happen in the show. So they were like, no, we're going to like Spectacular as a cameo, but we're going to like fucking grapple with his existence. I've not watched Spectacular yet, but I plan to. Everything I've seen of it looks fantastic, so I was happy to see that.
We're missing the animated series, which was my Spider-Man really,
Yeah.
which sucked, but I understand, I guess.
Well, let's give us some hope. They did literally come out and say, we've not used all the Spider people and we have some for the next film.
Yes.
My biggest hopes are animated series, Superior Spider-Man. Okay, it's not a hope so much. I kind of keep thinking they might throw Kane in.
Okay.
I'm sure I saw Kane, though.
Yeah.
In a couple of, the pointing meme bit. I'm sure I saw Kane. But,
Maybe.
I suppose maybe they don't want to just throw him in if they can't do anything of note with him, unless it's literally a background one. But yeah, animated show Spider-Man, fucking Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A lot of people said they should really riff on Last Stand Spider-Man a bit more.
Right.
Because he's obviously not Peter Parker and he's got a whole different thing going on.
Ben, yeah.
And he's visually in this.
He's in Spider-Verse, the comic.
It is Spider-Man's comic, that's true. He's visually in this, and also the therapist Spider-Man is him.
Oh, right.
You see the diploma on his wall, and it's the name on the diploma is, I can't remember his name on it, Ezekiel Sims.
Right.
The diploma's like, there's been a word to Ezekiel Sims. And we're like, that's Last Stand Spider-Man. But a lot of people are talking about, again, what Last Stand could do.
Could it be Ezekiel, other Spider-Man from the Totem
Ezekiel,
Spider
yeah.
God guy?
There's 1 Miles, but there's like 50 Ezekiel.
Love it.
I don't know what they're doing as a character, but I would like to see Spider UK.
Okay.
Because I kind of think Spider UK is fun, especially because he's quite pertinent to the Spider-Verse in the comics as well, I believe.
Right.
Or Spider-Geddon, he's big in one of them.
Is he just Captain Britain for Spider-Man?
Well, he is just dramatic, isn't he?
I think he might be.
He's not, I'm not saying I like him as much as a character. I think what I'm interested in is just getting a nice wide array of people seen because they would be good for, just it's good to represent Spider-Man and that. I suppose if you want to put me in a spot and say characters I think who should actually be relevant.
Madam Web. That was out of left field. You weren't expecting that there, were you?
Silence. It's just the stare.
The pin drop.
Do you know what? I mean, yeah.
Do you know what?
You
It
can't
should
literally
be.
say the Web of Life and Destiny.
Literally, come on. Why isn't Madam Web in this film?
And it's just Dakota Johnson's one from the live action movie.
No, we should bring back the animated series one.
Well, I think
They
it
had a
should- I think
Spider-Verse.
it should be the old ass woman in the chair.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? Madam Web, chuck her in, see if she can maybe
I
elaborate.
think she'll probably be in the next one, to be honest. She'll do
Maybe
something.
she'll elaborate on the extension of the Spider-Verse. Maybe she'll be like, oh, I'm the wise one who can explain why canon events aren't quite what Miguel
believe
thinks
them
is
to be, yeah.
a greater thing.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do Spider-Totem.
No?
No, not in the third movie or trilogy to be like, by the way, actually there's a deeper mystical bullshit to this.
You don't like Spider-Totem?
I don't really like Spider-Totem, no. I don't know what it is. I just never really got behind it.
Damn, man.
I don't like things that take characters who are a victim of happenstance and then give them fucking mystical shit.
Yeah.
Peter's one of, it's like The Flash. It's kind of like, you were a character who just had a thing happen to them and it's now about you as a person and what your experiences do with those things. I guess Spider-Totems are, the whole totem thing is not as bad as other examples I've thought of. Yeah. Because it's not so much like you're predestined to become Spider-Man and do these things.
Yeah, I don't think it's said in the run that is what happens. I think they leave it kind of ambiguous that it might not have been you.
Yeah.
Could have been someone else. And obviously Silk is the same spider.
Yeah, exactly. In general, it's just that sense of like, it's not so much, it's the whole, as far as I'm aware, because again, Graham's read it, I haven't, so I'm talking off of things I have read, people I've listened to talk about it and that.
Yeah.
It's more, to me, it's more like a marker.
Right.
Like, you just, there is always going to be a totem.
Uh-huh.
But it's not so much that the consequence of being a totem means that these things are going to happen to you in this order, in this way.
Yeah.
So maybe you could tease with it you want. I just don't see what it would do to this story.
I wouldn't add to this at all, no.
Unless they want to just fucking sideswipe us with Morlun.
Oh, let's go.
Just sudden and hurt
Right at the end.
End ever.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, so in terms of people, I'd maybe like to see the next one for solid like stories. And
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Madam Web, I think are two really great ones. And then other than that, it's really just any Spider-Man could really have a fun influence.
Right.
Cameos I'd like to see on an unstory basis, or animated to see Spider-Man and Japanese Spider-Man. Spider-Man now.
Spider-Man.
The fucking Voltron. Because, yeah, obviously you have to acknowledge that. I feel like we've almost re-engaged with Japanese Spider-Man now.
Right.
The Marvel Legends figure came out, and I think we've all just accepted, like, that was a silly thing that happened, but, you know, it's kind of fucking cool if you think about it.
Let's go, yeah.
Oh, and right before we move on, I want to give a shout to the Lego Spider-Man.
The Lego
That
Spider-Man.
gets spoiled for me, just
boy.
that it was going to happen. Really cool sequence, really fun. Animated by a 14-year-old.
Aye.
You don't know this?
Damn, man.
A 14-year-old boy made a Lego version of the trailer.
Right.
And Lord and Miller, I also, in my head, I'm like, did they not have the Lego thing planned yet? And they're like, damn, that was really cool. Can we get you in?
Yeah.
The point is, they got this kid in. And there's a whole, he literally told a story. Like, me and my dad would work on this, but after I finished my homework for the night, you know? It's amazing. Big props to that kid. I really can't remember his name now for it, sorry, but just a great story.
Yeah.
To look into. It's fantastic. And I like Lego. I thought it was funny. I think was it you that told me that
Yes, yeah, tweet, and it was it's the Lego.
It's the Lego games
from the Lego
universe.
game,
Aye. That's just wild to me. I love that. Oh, and J.K. Simmons was like everywhere.
Yeah, because it has to be, doesn't it? It
He
can't
is
not
the
be.
fucking totem.
Yeah.
The mustache.
He is. If he's not in it, is it really a Spider-Verse? Really?
Come on now. So yeah, we'll wrap up the sort of talk about the tangible things in the movie by quickly mentioning, I think the thing that we've not talked about that much, even though not for a bad reason, the Spot.
Spot, yeah.
Spot is the villain of this movie. I said the villain.
I think we've not talked about it much because he dips out halfway through.
Yeah, I think he is really good.
He's all set up now.
But he's very much a tool in this movie of the plot. He's very much like
when he shows up, it's kind of like, oh, super villain, I am from your past. I am here because you wronged me, and I am here for revenge.
What's good is, you know, they're obviously grappling with the Spot as a character from the comics, and his conceptual history is like a bit of a weird, silly, less cared about villain. Spot's always been a bit, comic Drake's got a good video.
He's not the wall.
He's not the wall. No, Graham, no one can stop the wall.
No one can stop the wall.
I can't wait for the wall in the next movie. Spot's first appearance was interesting and kind of fun, but then they just drop the character and they keep bringing him back in really just dumb ways that they just don't care about him.
Yeah.
They don't give him enough credit. So for him to show up and be like, it's we, Spider-Man, your greatest nemesis. It's silly, and then they push that.
Then they don't care about him, and he's like, do you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah, that is part of my character. That's my development. He sort of comes back as like a, you know, as you say, like he gets more pushed by it. He's pressed by this thing, and he grows as a result of that, which is a really great twist. He's got a really great power set. It's a power set that's never struck me as anything. He maybe looks silly, but the whole portal thing is always, there's nothing silly. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So for them to just directly address the silliness that's been put on him, the lack of respect in the comics, to then make that part of his character, and then to just roll with it.
Aye.
You know, I'm getting angry. I'm getting further. I'm pushing myself. By the end, he becomes a fucking eldritch abomination.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm sort of curious to see what they do with him in the next one, because that's my biggest thought right now. Is while he is great, I'm not criticising. I just do think he is literally a tool of the plot.
Yeah.
He has a great character arc, but right now all he's really doing is making. I mean, I suppose really any villain kind of is. To be fair, he's not like Killmonger. He's not like he has this great relationship with Miles. Although I suppose maybe that's kind of is the point.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a relationship with Miles. It's like the Lego Batman movie.
Right.
You ever see the Lego Batman movie?
I'm not, you know.
The best Batman movie, quite frankly, directly interrogates the nature of the Batman and the Joker's relationship.
Right.
You know, like the Batman insists he doesn't need the Joker. Like, we're not friends, we're not like enemies. I can fight anyone, and you know, you don't really mean that much to me.
Yeah.
And it kind of ends with Batman accepting that the Joker is a pretty big part of his life and is integral to that development.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's a really great movie, Lego Batman movie. Yeah, that's what the Spot situation is. Like, yeah, well, I think ultimately what it does in this movie is just provide steps for the stuff to happen. I'd almost say this movie's more about the society and more about Miles' emotional journey through that. And
that's why when I think of the film, I think as Miguel is the villain more.
No, exactly. I mean, that makes sense why you would think that. But when you look at Spot's like the one who's just the inciter.
Yeah.
But then, while I think he's good and what he does, you know, his growth, his scenes, the visual development of him, and then this whole like, well, I'm going to go kill your dad then, I've got this whole thing going on. I just don't really know what they're going to do in the next movie to resolve him.
Don't know either.
Like, they just show up and they just beat him up.
It probably could be something as simple as that. They'll probably do something more interesting, but I don't really know either. Where they take him. Well,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing per se, and I don't think he's bad in this movie. I just, Miguel is like the thematic villain. The Spot has some thematic resonance, you know, but I think of the Spot more as the inciter and the driver of the plot. He's the one who causes things to happen that gets people going from point A to point B. But I did like him. I actually feel almost bad that we sort of didn't really have a reason to talk about him until the end. And we're talking about him just because he has such a big part, but it's like, what we can, you know, we don't want to talk for too long, but we can use him to springboard into what I consider the last point to really look at on its own,
Right.
Is the aesthetics
Yeah.
of the movie. The Spot is really interesting visually. I mean, this whole movie, let's just make the blanket statement, this whole movie is fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful. The Spot's whole thing with the dimensional stuff, you know, when he's in the white dimension, the weird grainy version of him when he gets super powerful,
Yeah.
you know, like the black lines and that. You know, whether I was like super thinking that Spot was like the coolest character ever, I'm like, oh, this really fucking looks cool. And I also, you know, there is actually two characters we've got to talk about, which aesthetics actually are relevant to, so I'm not totally blinding. We mentioned them earlier, Hobie and Pavetta.
Yeah.
I thought, I actually, they were probably some of the best sort of parts of the movie, I think, in terms of like just fun, pop out left field, presenting a sudden shift in like visuals style and character style.
Yeah.
Going to the Mumbattan, the whole Spider-Man India world, the visual flair, the colours, everything being in Hindi, even the flips and that. I just thought it was beautiful, fascinating. Just that was one of those moments. It's like that's the same type of joy of the first Spider-Verse. Yeah. The same type of like, wow, this is something like new and different and interesting and cool. Right. I thought Pavetta was fun. He's like a weird character because he is really happy. Yeah. You know, he does have suffering moments, but I guess he's one of those instances, as you said, it's like how much of being in the Spider Society is he really? Right. Like there's some who have suffered the kind of experiences. Yeah. And there's some who I think Miguel just assumed will. Like obviously Pavetta's not had his captain death yet. Yeah. So like I guess Miguel's like, oh, I'm sure Pavetta will be fine, you know, he'll go through the can stuff. But he doesn't, and Pavetta's like, yeah, I'm having a great time, I've got my girlfriend's dad's alive.
Well, in the spaces between the car events, Spider-Man's still pretty chipper.
That is true, I'll give you that. But it's just obviously Pavetta's the one who just seems to have quite an overwhelmingly positive outlook on life. He talks about how beautiful he is and I love my hair and I love my body and have a great relationship. And he then obviously joins Gwen because he's like, yeah, I mean, Miles saved this person and I look at this more of like it was important to me that life was saved. Which is good. It was actually, I like knowing that Spider-Man and then watching an actual canon event happen. Yeah. Technically, and then the relationship with that. Yeah. You know, which is another thing that leads to my theory that the canon events don't really matter because the whole the universe starts destabilizing, but it looks more like a spot hole than it does anything else. Yeah. It's got that faded, inky edges. Yeah. And I'd like to believe that. Yeah, I think it's just a coincidence because the only time Miguel's like, yeah, I fucked up once. I fucked up once. One time this happened. Yeah. So we're just assuming it can never ever happen again forever.
To be fair, it wiped the universe when they fucked up.
Wipe a universe.
So I would also be like...
That's why I'm not saying that I think Miguel's wrong, just more that I think it leads into the theory of like, oh well maybe, you know, we don't really have any evidence other than one time that like Miguel thinks this happened. Yeah. I saw someone say that it might not have been that Miguel missed my canon experience. It was more that Miguel was not in, it was maybe more of a consequence of Miguel being in the wrong universe.
That's possible,
you know, like we've never really seen the long form. Yeah. Miguel obviously had the technology to suppress the glitches, but like what happens if that's just suppressed for too long? I mean, Miguel seems to have lived nearly an entire lifetime in this other universe. My point is I just like to look at it and think, oh, you know, maybe there's more to this, and I hope there's more to it. Yeah. But yeah, so that was like a loose conversation. I like Pavetta. I like his voice actor, Lutz Dopinder from Deadpool, the taxi driver.
Oh, right.
I love that actor.
Nice.
I just thought it was really just as good as the first one, where like you know, like the Noir and Spider-Ham and Penny and the All-Shop, they're just different. Yeah. And this is the same. It was just different and fun and interesting. I fucking love Hobie Brown. Yeah. 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 Like he is just so cool. Yeah. And fun and unabashed. Everything about that character. the complete anarchist. You know, the whole thing of him, like, he shows up in society, you think he's like a bam, but he's just immediately good to Miles. The bit where he's like, oh, mind what I told you, Miles, like, I want to help you fuck this whole shit up. Yeah. Like, fuck this place. Yeah.
We just, like, hates comedy. He hates structure.
Hates the AM, hates the PM.
Hates the AM, hates the PM. Yeah.
I thought Daniel Kaluuya was so good.
It was great. I like his Sex Pistols-esque design.
Like the whole every part of his body being animated in a different frame rate, and like to look like the pure punk Anarchy in the UK style that was the Sex Pistols design. I just wanted to get that on the record. I wanted to not finish this video and not mention
Hobie Brown.
Those two, Hobie and Pooh, but like Hobie. Yeah. I just love them, and they're cool for the plot. You know, they're not really super like relevant in super thematic senses, but they do provide great character diversity, intrigue, just friendship. You know, it's good to have people who are on Miles and Gwen's side. Yeah. And I'm really just fascinated to see them. Like, I'm just happy to see them coming back. Yeah. I wanted to motion more into a great aesthetic talk. It's not something big and deep. It's just to give flowers to the team. Just
Yeah.
as point, every universe has its thing. Like, I'm really particularly happy with Spider-Gwen's universe and how much that looks like the comics. The faded paint.
Yeah.
They describe it, and some of the behind the scenes stuff is like a mood ring. So
Right.
you'll notice like the colours change as they're feeling
Yeah.
and shift.
That was really cool. Yeah.
So good. I might not know 2099, but I really like 2099 as a concept. So
Right.
I really like New York.
Aye.
I like everything like the utopic top half and the
Tall
sort of
buildings.
Coruscant ass underworld with
Yeah.
the trains, that like space elevator. I loved all that, and the music.
The music
The music,
drops the fire.
so good.
The fire needle again.
Great one. I will say I don't think any song in this entire one beats Sunflower from the first one.
Not in terms of popularity, I don't think, but no, but
In general, just what I liked.
No,
Sunflower was
I
probably my
wouldn't.
favourite.
Maybe
Annihilate for this one was quite good.
right.
Which was the Sway Lee one.
It's more like a vibe playlist.
There's a lot of
I
vibes,
feel.
aye.
Yeah.
There's one that's in Fortnite. When I heard it in this movie, I'm like, I heard this so many times in
Oh
Fortnite. I'm
my
just angry
God.
that I'm hearing it now. But I suppose I'm not as much interested in that type of music as the actual OST.
Right. Yeah.
The score by Daniel Pemberton, who I really like. Daniel Pemberton.
Right.
He just keeps popping up in my life, doing funny little things.
Doing things.
And,
Interiors.
I think the original score for this is impeccable. The Spider-Man theme is probably one of my favourite superhero themes of all time.
It's a bang. It's a bang.
Just so,
Yeah.
just like it so perfectly matches the aesthetic and the character.
Yeah, it's heavy on the bass, the drums.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Like the synthy, like the sort of like the like.
So good, yeah.
Would you say you like the 2099 theme? Because you obviously.
I like the flary bits of it. I like it in general, yeah,
It's
but
a good theme.
I was like, oh, that sounds a bit Spider-Man Unlimited.
You came straight
And
to
then you were like, oh, it's actually like
it's also Sharp Dimensions.
it's all Sharp Dimension, which is like a fucking base game.
That's
So-
so cheeky to get it away on the accent there.
Literally.
Such a good game. I remember you just being like, bro, that's literally the Unlimited theme.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man. There's the one I have on my playlist as well is it's the one from the main Spider-Verse. Spider-Society fight. It's just called New York Train Chase. And it's
Yeah.
from that whole train chase sequence.
Yeah.
And it's just got these incredible peaks and bounds using like the Miles theme. There's this like rising and falling horn section. I just love a good
Tasty.
meaty score.
Whoa.
Do you know what I mean? And I was thoroughly impressed with it. It's weird, I feel like we should say more about the aesthetics because the aesthetics is almost as important to the movie as the plot and that. But
Well, for an animated film, yeah.
I suppose maybe
More so for an animated film, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then what this does is like a part of the boundary pushers.
Yeah.
But I don't remember you and me aren't exactly qualified to talk about the minutia other than just saying
I don't know, yeah.
it looked cool.
Looked cool, bro.
It looked
Do you know colour theory? I don't really know colour theory, so I can't really
Do you know,
comment, you know.
the 9x9 grid framing.
Why was the door red?
I don't know.
It looked pretty.
But like clearly what they were doing worked because I saw it and I thought, damn, this looks cool.
This looks cool, aye.
This looks
I'd
cool.
hang this on my wall.
I would hang this.
I
on
bought the
the
art book.
There's a lot of great.
Like,
I need to get the art book. Yeah, I've got the art book for the first one as well. I need to get the art book for the second one. Yeah, I just again, it's sort of less of have anything critical to say, and just I want
Yeah.
to tell people this is a beautiful movie. There's
yes.
striking direct visuals, great action, great choreography, everything with Pivoter and his like his swinging with his sort of like the bangle and like
The
way he
yo-yo
moves
thing.
and that.
Yeah.
It's apparently based on like an Indian, I think it was like a yoga or martial arts thing. I saw a video. It was like a very specific
Right.
style of movement. So fascinating, just so fun and interesting and cool. That's why it's cool. Grail is a cool movie. The T-Rex Spider-Man that flips and it says T-Flip, and the classic cartoon Spider-Man
Yes.
in the last movie where he's like completely 2D.
So good.
Oh my god, I don't have anything substantial to say other than it looked really good and I really am happy with it.
It did, and it does.
Mm-hmm.
And it will continue to
I'm
do
sure
so.
we'll continue to do so until they delay Beyond the Spider-Verse, which they fully will.
Most likely.
Yeah, the plan now is for it to come out 10 months after Across.
Right.
Then they revealed that Haley Steinfeld has not recorded a single line of dialogue. for
To be
Beyond.
fair, I don't think that is that much of a problem.
It's not too
Because
much.
I
Dialogue is
imagine...
usually the last thing, I think.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say, yeah. I think it would be the last thing for an animated film.
But then they also said that the Spider Society train chase fight sequence took 4 years to animate.
Yeah. But there's a lot of spider people in that.
True. But you also said to me, like, the more fundamental thing is that we have to assume they've been working on them both together.
Yeah, well, why would you say it's 2 parts, having already, like, I guess, structured it, then be like, oh, it needs to be 2 parts. Then name the 2 parts differently.
And then make only one part.
Yeah, then make only 1 part, yeah. You must have done some work on it at least. I'm guessing it's maybe 40%, 30% done already.
Yeah, I would hope so. Aye. Yeah, I mean, Haley Steinfeld not doing her lines yet, that didn't really bother me much. It was just the first thing where I thought, oh, we better go on that, 10 months to make the movie.
Yeah.
But the problem is with everything with the writer's strike and that, and
Well, it's
just how
written.
production goes. I suppose it is written, aye. But then we're seeing things that are technically written getting like sort of production delays anyway.
I guess, yeah.
I'm not like a dreary one, like, oh, it's going to get delayed. I mean, I'd like to get a resolution as soon as,
Yeah.
but I want it to be the best resolution they can put out, so they can take as
When
much
was
time
it?
they need.
March? Meant to be?
Yes, March 2024.
No, if they delay it to
10 months, not even a full year after across.
if they delay it to September, that's when the first one came out, right?
Yeah, pretty sure it was, aye.
Just an extra couple months there.
I'd be fair. I'm waiting, like, I'd say probably like 2 years at most would be the longest I would feel comfortable waiting. Because it's just, you gave it, it's a consequence of a two-parter. You gave us a cliffhanger that's compelling.
What other movie has a cliffhanger that's had a long wait? Can you remember any?
I don't really think I can. I mean, my brain goes more closer to like two-parter movies.
Yeah.
What do you define as a cliffhanger?
Just like question resolved like right at the end. Like the
Not
film.
so much like an MCU, like this could happen next one. More like Dune.
Yeah.
Is Dune a cliffhanger? Because like we kind of know what's going to happen, but like they resolved that concept of that movie. But then I don't know. A lot of the ending of the first part of the Lord of Dune is very much like, well, Paul's going to have to deal with some stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference, is the assurance of something coming.
Yeah.
An MCU movie might end with like, I don't know, fucking Fing Fang Foom exists, so maybe we'll deal with it at some point.
Aye.
Dune part 1 ends with Paul has to learn to deal with the Fremen, because we do need to deal with the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
He is going to do something.
Yeah.
So that's more of a cliffhanger to me. I'm trying to think about ones that have had like a big delay. The wait between Deathly Hallows part 1 and 2, I don't recall being that long.
I don't even
It was
know,
like a
bro.
year or two.
The problem is
Maybe.
when they make those, they normally just shoot both.
Infinity War Endgame, wasn't that
Yeah.
long? It was like, what, 2 years?
No,
1 year,
it
2
wasn't
years?
that year. It was a year, I think.
Oh, we talked about this literally the other day. It was like a year.
Yeah.
I mean, they got 2 whole movies between it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
About 2 years, yeah. That's
as
probably
far
the
as I
most
can
I'd
see,
wait, yeah.
Villainous Dune that was like a year or two ago, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you don't want to leave a cliffhanger longer than like 2 or so years.
Yeah.
But I also just need them to do it right. I'd rather give them as much credit to make a great movie than to just be like, I need a resolution now.
Yeah.
Fuck the writer's strike, give me the movie.
No.
But yeah, I'm still really hopeful. Obviously, even if it gets delayed.
Yeah.
We've got 2 movies.
I've had nothing to suggest it won't be good.
Yeah, we've got 2 beautiful movies made by a lot of really cool, interested, passionate people. I said Lord Miller obviously earlier, but there's a lot of other people. I don't think Lord Miller, they don't even direct it. I think this one might be Peter Ramsey, or at least one of the directors. There's a lot of people working on this that really are sort of engaged in making a really creative, interesting thing. And I've got great confidence, I think, going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else really? Any big hopes for the next one? I discussed
Big
Canada
hopes.
earlier,
I hope it ends well. If you're saying it's the last one we're going to do,
yeah, they've said that's like we're capping it off.
I hope it's going to end really well.
Hope it ends well.
Yeah, that's all I've really got, aye.
Do you think it'll end well?
I hope so.
Okay, so he hopes it ends well.
That's about it, yeah.
I hope it ends well.
Good. All ends well.
I'm being a dick to you, Graham, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's alright.
No, yeah, there is a lot of just like, it's one of those movies where you're just going to leave it in their hands.
I think so, yeah.
They've done well so far. They've done well without me knowing a lot.
Yeah.
So go in there, cook.
Yeah, I think I'd have more to say if it was like a Peter Parker Spider-Man story.
Oh.
But it's not, it's a Miles story. And I don't really know if I can
Miles
connect to Miles that same way I can to Peter.
Hates people.
Yes.
He's a big Peter Parker son.
You know I am. But I'm happy because I think Peter's had the time. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah,
I can have my
got a
Peter
lot,
in the
yeah.
sidelines here. Miles is definitely the Spider-Man over the now and the future.
It's nice that, this is like the Miles story. It's like, he is the big new Spider-Man, and that's great for like a lot of reasons, for representation, for diverse storytelling. And when I say diverse, I don't just mean representation diverse. I mean physically, Miles' story is different than Peter's, and that's fascinating. But Peter's still present, and they keep doing interesting things with him. I think I can connect. Just tell me a compelling enough story, I can connect with anything.
Of course, yeah.
But then there's also entrenchment levels. You've just been reading Peter Parker forever.
Forever, for my life.
You're literally like, you're big brain on Peter Parker.
He's literally me.
But he's literally me. He's just like me, FR.
Just like me,
Graham,
FR.
Graham, what was your canon event?
Bro, you don't even want to know.
Oh my god. Did you know that in Peter Parker's universe there is a Mysterio called Mr. REO.
I did see this, yes.
Yeah, you see it on Twitter.
REO Speedwagon.
His name's Mr. REO Speed Buggy.
Oh.
Which is Speedwagon, which
is a JoJo's reference.
Which is a band, but more importantly, is JoJo's reference. So I wanted to say that because I care about both those things immensely.
Yes.
Mysterio should be the main villain of the third movie.
Possibly comes out of left field here. It could be interesting. Exactly. Him and Madam Web show up together.
Let's go. Madam Web solo movie from Sony coming soon, starring Dakota Johnson.
Let's go. Let's go.
El Muerto coming out
El
soon.
Muerto, the boy.
You know, the balance of power in the Sony Spider-Universe is about to change.
It's about to change. You know it.
Let's go.
Craven dropping soon near
Craven
you.
dropping soon.
Morbius 2 sweep.
Morbius 2 sweep. I'm so excited for Morbius 2. I'm so excited for Venom 3.
Do you know what? I hope Morlun comes in Morbius 2 so they can like Morb and Morlus together.
Morals? Morals Morales?
It's gonna be so good.
I love it when it Morland all over the place.
Oh yes.
Oh dude, I fucking hate vampires.
Why is it always energy sucking vampires, bro?
They do be sucking.
They do be sucking.
Vampires do suck.
It's true.
Oh, right. Well, I think, at that we've reached the end of it.
We've reached the
It's a
pinnacle.
bit rambling, but we love these movies and
True.
we want to just mention as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because it's a celebration. That's our podcast, our chats are like just us riffing on how much of a good time we've had.
Yeah.
If there's like things we'll talk about, there's a lot of lines we pull, but
Yeah.
just getting the energy out there. Because
Getting
this was
stuck
a
in.
good, strong movie.
Yeah.
And people should watch it. I believe they said it's going to be out digitally in like August or that. I'm not going to do this for every review we watch. I just want to give Spider-Verse a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It really does deserve the attention. Go watch it instead of The Flash, because The Flash will be terrible.
Possibly, I will full judgment, but possibly, probably, most
Will we do an
likely.
episode of The Flash?
I'll speak, you no listen.
Ewan will not listen. Ewan will complain incessantly.
Ewan will talk about the Flash show.
Ewan will talk about Flash and Flash-related content, which
Yes.
is not the Flash movie.
Which is not the Flash
movie
movie.
is a Batman movie.
Disguised as a Supergirl
He's
movie.
getting tilted. He's frothing. He's sweating. Anyway, as the artist from Lewis Prince said, it's alright to bully people who like the Flash. It's always morally correct.
Damn.
Right, we'll leave you with that one.
Yes, ladies and
We've
gentlemen.
rambled, we've had fun.
We have indeed. I hope you've had fun.
I always have fun when you're here too.
Thank you. Me too.
Godspeed.
Godspeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night.
Yes. Scenes is a fan-created podcast. We have no affiliation with any of the brand studios or properties mentioned. All views are our own.
Produced and edited by my partner, Rebecca. Music is provided by Epidemic Sound, and the cover artwork was commissioned by Rhiannon Kagoe on Twitter or Instagram.
Oh my god.